Hi, everybody. Welcome to City Beat. I'm your host, Nancy Byrne, and we are coming to you from inside our KCLV TV studios as we continue to try to socially distance ourselves from others as much as possible. You know, when the coronavirus hit, it literally put our economy into a tailspin. Essential businesses were able to remain open, but other businesses, such as restaurants, were confined to just curbside and delivery service. Now, that kept some people employed and helped them putter along, but it was no cure. Well, some local restaurant owners decided to get together with secretburger.com and come up with a way that they could mix and mingle with their customers, eat together, cook together, even taste wine together without actually getting together.
The first one is make sure your oven's on at 400 degrees to warm up bread.
Chef James Trees of Esther's Kitchen is teaching a cooking class to hundreds of people right now. You don't see them in his restaurant. That's because the class is going out in real time over Facebook and Instagram. He's one of many chefs and small, mostly downtown business owners who are managing to keep a connection with hungry customers while practicing social distancing through virtual cooking classes.
Basically, people were hitting us up to get our food, and since our food doesn't travel well, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to be doing takeout. So what we came up with the idea is that we would actually give everybody the ingredients down to the garnishes of how to cook our food, and then we go online and do a live cooking class with everybody.
The idea with this stromboli, guys, is to get it into a square shape.
Just a stone's throw away, Vincent Rotolo of Good Pie, who saw great success with his first online class, is already planning his next one.
I'm bringing them into my kitchen and I'm sharing the inspiration for the recipes and my stories with them. And so the response I've gotten from consumers and people just sending me pictures and all of the feedback, it's another thing to feel good about.
You know, let's look at the wine itself.
And in another downtown establishment, Mario Enriquez and Eric Prado decided if people enjoyed cooking together, what's to stop them from doing some wine tasting together?
Those other businesses doing Zoom meetings or things like that, you know, it just made sense that, hey, we could probably do something where everybody's at home and, you know, they could, since we have the curbside, they can come by and pick up their package of wine, 1 bottle, 2 bottles, whatever it might have been. And then, we could all get together virtually and kind of go through and discuss, you know, the wines that we have.
Culinary businesses traditionally bring people together to eat, drink, and socialize. COVID-19 all but put a stop to that until some of the restaurant owners got together with the founder of a website that promotes culinary experiences, secretburger.com. They found a way to socialize in this social distancing world.
We knew our site was capable and set up to allow people to pre-order items already. So it really made sense to work with the restaurant if they were going to be open for delivery. And then Nina Manchev came to me from Forte Tapas and was like, listen, everyone's doing these classes. I really want to do a class online, but I'd like the viewers to cook with me. And she's like, can you help me facilitate this? And I was like, absolutely. We can do this. And like I said the other day, I'm like, I will be the first person to buy this kit and cook with you online.
That first online class sold 8 tickets, but then other restaurants got on board and word spread like butter on a hot biscuit. And
we've done several in the last 2 months, and we went from, selling 8 tickets to over, 250 tickets for one shot. So it's been great.
So here's how it works. Once the tickets for a class are sold on the website, chefs and their staffs begin preparing the kits. Everything from the main dishes right down to the spices. The restaurants want everything to be fresh, so the kits cannot be picked up until the day of the class.
The great part about this is people are getting the restaurant quality, because a lot of these ingredients you cannot buy. They have to be made here, including like our pastas.
So for the consumer, it's fun. You're cooking a meal, but you don't have to go to a grocery store and deal with getting all these different ingredients. Like, we're putting the package together for you, which is great. And then you're also getting the tips and techniques on how we cook our own food professionally, so you can learn a lot.
The day we stopped by Esther's Kitchen, nearly 250 kits were being compiled and picked up. This was the second trip for this Esther's Kitchen regular.
You know, it's amazing. I'm a big supporter of a local business, but also this particular one because my friend is the chef and owner, so I wanted to obviously support. And their food is amazing, so when they came out with this, it was simple for us. Easy to do, stay at home, and it allows us also to get that takeout that we're all missing, but we're at home cooking as well.
Kim Owens has become a regular of all the virtual classes.
Esther's Kitchen last week, so again this week. Forte Tapas is another restaurant that is doing a virtual class. Good Pie has another one on Saturday night, so I'm doing that one. And another facility called another shop called Cureton Way is actually doing a cheese class tomorrow.
Kim exemplifies the spirit of support you find uniquely to the downtown arts district. She will soon open her own restaurant on Main Street called Main Street Provisions, and thinks of other business owners here more as neighbors rather than competitors.
It's very different here. It's not intrusion, it's inclusion. So everybody, if we band together and if we make the arts district the place to be, then it's just going to expand all of our lives.
We're a neighborhood. You know, in order for all of us to be successful, we need a lot of smaller, unique businesses to be open in this area. And the way that we look at it personally here is just other opportunities to collaborate with our neighbors.
And in supporting each other, they are in turn supporting the many who work in these businesses and ultimately our entire economy.
I mean, I have 11 staff on to do this. I mean, like, you know, most places, like, you know, we got our PPP funds, so we're using them. We're using them to keep everyone working, keeping everyone moving forward. If we were able, like, honestly, if we had more refrigeration space, we'd do more kits and we'd be able to bring back more people.
I'm gonna be here, even if it's just me. Like, I'll be the one-man pizza show here doing what I have to do, but I feel there's an obligation to the community and to my loyal regular customers and to the staff that need work.
So what happens to these online wine tastings and cooking classes when the world gets back to normal, whatever that might be? Well, you don't abandon an idea that kept you afloat in the storm just because the clouds have cleared. They'll still be around.
I think it's just a way to continue to build the brand, to continue to put, you know, our names out there, continue to grow, continue to, you know, show people that there's a lot of wine out there, which is why we wanted to do this to begin with.
I think that people really love them. I think it's a great date night. I think lots of parents are cooking with their children and really enjoying that part of it. Even, you know, some people by themselves. I think that this was obviously in addition to going to the restaurant, because there's another level of service that we love when we go out and getting taken care of. But at the same time, this is a great way to have fun at home.
Meanwhile, until the world opens back up,
Until the world decides to stop bending, I think we're going to be doing this once a week, yeah. Take this beautiful thing and lay it right in the middle of the polenta.
the chefs and business owners tell us they really love it when the people who do the virtual cooking with them send them pictures of their cooking adventures. They also like the fact that they can ask questions of the chefs while they're doing the cooking class. It really makes them feel like they're in the same room together without having to be together. Well, one of the other dire effects of the coronavirus, aside from the economy, is the feeling of loneliness and depression due to socially distancing. We sat down with a wellness coach for some tips on how to get through this trying time without feeling too depressed. As we all find ways to socially distance ourselves from others to fight the coronavirus, other ailments are rearing their ugly heads: depression and loneliness. While some families worry about getting on each other's nerves being locked up at home, we must remember there are others who live alone and are feeling like they're facing this tragedy without the support from loved ones. I sat down with City of Las Vegas wellness coach Rebecca Suretsky to talk about ways to stay connected with others in this time of disconnection.
This is such a great question right now, and I've addressed it a bunch, and I'm so happy to be talking about it again.
There are many tips Rebecca has been offering to others and was glad to pass on to us, starting with reaching out to others, a friend, a relative, or church member.
One is pick up that phone and call people. I know we live in a texting world right now, but there's something so different about hearing your best friend, your cousin, your mom's voice on the phone, or going one step further to virtual chatting, virtual social hours. Like, I've never been a FaceTimer. I don't like to see my face on that camera, but I've actually really enjoyed. My girlfriends and I, we get on Zoom or various apps, and we get a look at each other, and it's really fun. It makes you feel not so alone.
If your regular schedule has been disrupted, act as though it hasn't.
Even if you're working from home, try to keep on that same work schedule. Get up, get dressed, do your hair, feel good about yourself, and try, and if you have normal appointments or just kind of like a schedule, try and keep that during the day. It helps you feel kind of normal, I guess.
If you're not working from home or you are retired, this might be a good time to learn something new or clean out that pesky closet or garage.
There's a lot of virtual lessons that you can do. They're doing musical lessons where you video chat with your instructor, or it's a great time to do projects around the house, check things off your to-do list.
Keep in mind, if you're craving companionship, that companion can have 4 legs and fur. Many people are bringing a pet into their home.
The fostering is up and pet adoptions are up. I think it's great to have an animal. They give you a sense of purpose. They help keep you on that routine because you have to remember to feed them and walk them and clean up after them, which they do encourage you to get some physical activity because you have to walk them. Such a good thing, and it's a buddy, it's a companion. I never feel alone with my dog next to me.
People are getting creative with ways to celebrate milestones such as birthdays and graduations with car parades and virtual FaceTime group calls. Many are falling back on the old-fashioned practice of getting out and meeting their neighbors, from a distance, of course.
It was great. I've also sat in my driveway with my neighbors in their driveway, and we just talk over the plants. It's a great way to feel connected, but still keep your social distancing.
These are unprecedented times of worry and isolation, but even if you are feeling alone, try to remember you're not alone. There are many ways to connect, stay busy, and reach out until we get back to a life that resembles the old normal. Rebecca says, please try to remember that this is just temporary. We will turn around, and when we do, those feelings of isolation and depression will go away. Hopefully, we'll come out stronger in the end rather than weaker. Well, we are experiencing one of the hottest springs on record. When we come back, we have some tips on how to beat the heat, and these are some new tips.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew she was special.
Welcome back to City Beat from the KCLV TV studios. You know, while we had the attention of our wellness coach, Rebecca, we decided to talk heat. We had some of the hottest temperatures in April since the National Weather Service started keeping record back in the 1930s. Now, we've been giving safety tips for many years here in the desert, but she had some advice I hadn't even heard before. So we live in the desert. We know what we're in for when the late spring and summer months hit. But there are some things even us natives need to be reminded of, and many things new residents may benefit from hearing. So we enlisted the help of wellness coach Rebecca Soretsky to walk us through do's and don'ts of the desert heat, starting with something that may not heal if damaged by the sun.
I think it's important to remember to protect our eyes. You're only given one set of eyes. They don't really heal that well. So it's a great idea to remember to wear good quality sunglasses. You want to look for ones with UVA and UVB protection on them. And there'll be like a little sticker usually on the lens, so you know.
When it comes to kids, they get so caught up in playing outside, they often won't come in from the heat until it's too late.
It's very tough. I know I deal with that with my own kids. Sometimes I'll put just a little bit of Gatorade in their water to make them drink a little bit more. And I'm always reminding them to keep drinking and trying to make sure they're not playing outside too much in that heat in the middle of the day.
Did you know pets can get sunburn? They can, particularly on their noses and if they are light-skinned. The pads of their feet are very vulnerable this time of year. Mornings are the best time to walk your four-legged friends.
Because they need to be outside, they need their fresh air. Trying to take them out in the morning as the sun is rising or as early as possible, because that pavement gets super hot on their little feet, and they don't know. They don't know they shouldn't be outside. So we kind of have to think for them a little bit.
Those hours apply to us as well. Morning is best for exercising. Usually 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. are the worst hours to be out in the heat.
As early as maybe like 5 a.m. is a really good time. That sun's just barely coming up. As we've discussed, the pavement isn't as warm when you're out there, so the heat isn't radiating up as much. If you can't do early morning, try for as late in the evening as possible.
You can swim really at any time as long as you follow proper sunscreen and hydrating rules. But summertime, unfortunately, is a time tragedies unfold when families are trying to cool off and have fun. Rebecca says, never let your guard down.
Even if your kids know how to swim, please never leave your kids unattended in the pool. It only takes them getting out in the middle of the pool, getting a little bit exhausted, they don't have the strength and they can go under so fast. I've heard so many stories about parents. I ran inside, I had to go to the bathroom, get a drink, whatever, and things happen.
Being present isn't enough. Being present with your eyes on the kids and not your phone is what's really required. And finally, there is never a safe time to leave kids or pets in a car without the air conditioning running, even in the shade, even with the windows cracked. Never. Summertime is supposed to be a time for vacations and family fun. With a few precautions, we can all make sure we don't get beat by the heat. Rebecca had another tip when it comes to using sunscreen. She said, don't forget your lips. Use a lip balm with an SPF of 15 or more. As for pets, when our extreme weather, there really is no such thing as an outdoor pet. Unless your yard is equipped with misters, plenty of shade, and a bowl that is not metal and is constantly refilled with cold water, they really belong indoors for most of the day. Putting them in a confined space is kinder than leaving them outside in the heat. Well, we touched on pool safety in that last story, so we thought it would be a good time to rerun a story we did last year from a very brave and compassionate mother who wanted to share her story about losing her son to drowning in July of 2016. Now, this happened in a home with parents who are attentive, caring, and loving. And Jenny Bennett says if it can happen to her, it can happen to anyone.
Come on, Jackson! Keep going! Keep going!
It's a beautiful, warm day at the Bennett home, and 21-month-old Jackson is playing with Mom and his sisters, Kyla and Lily, in their family pool. Surrounded by family, wearing a flotation device, and being encouraged to jump into his mom's safe arms, nothing could go wrong.
Come over by himself. Come on, Jackson. Look at you kick. Oh, that's a good boy. Good kicker.
However, 2 days after this video was shot, Jackson found his way back out to this pool without Mom, sisters, or his water wings.
Come on, watch out! Watch out!
It is a day Jenny and her family relive over and over. It was an early evening, and she and her children had just returned home from picking up husband and dad, Adam, from work. Adam warmed up his dinner, and Jenny went into the bedroom for a few minutes before starting the hectic night routine of baths with the kids.
I came out of the bedroom and didn't see Jackson with my husband, who was sitting on the couch. So I asked him, "Where's Jackson?" And he's like, "Oh, he's upstairs playing with the girls." So that calmed me down for about a minute, and I went back into the bedroom. I got a very uneasy feeling. Something was yelling at me inside to go find Jackson now. So I went back outside to my husband and asked him, "Where's Jackson?" And we yelled upstairs to the girls, "Hey, is Jackson up there with you?" And Kyla yelled back, "No." And that's when I realized that I had left the dog door open, and I immediately ran outside and found him floating face down in the pool.
In the commotion of coming home, she simply had forgotten about the dog door being open, and Adam mistakenly thought he saw Jackson go upstairs with his sisters, as he typically would.
I actually jumped into the pool and pulled him out and yelled to my husband to call 911, and I started CPR. I started chest compressions right away. I just knew that we had lost him. His skin was still warm and his lips were pink, and I was hopeful that we had found him in time, since it had only been a few minutes.
As an emergency room nurse, Jenny knew what to do. Jackson's pulse returned, and he was flown to a children's hospital. But their hopes for his recovery were soon shattered.
After 4 days of testing and monitoring him, he was declared brain dead. We had decided that we didn't want this to be the end of his story, and we wanted to donate his organs to people in need. That gave us 3 extra days to spend with him.
Jenny and Adam let Jackson go in that hospital, but his heart, liver, and both kidneys remain here on this earth, giving life to 4 others, including a 7-month-old boy who now has Jackson's heart. Some solace for a family whose hearts were now broken. Jenny says as she mourned the loss of Jackson, she found herself also racked with guilt and shame.
I was very ashamed that I had lost my child to something preventable. I was one of those people that felt like, well, this will never happen to me. I'm a good parent. I watch my children and I do things to keep them safe.
After some time, she did come to realize she was not alone.
Over the course of the last 2 years, I've met a lot of parents who have lost their children to drowning, and they all have very similar stories to mine, especially with the young children, that toddlers are mischievous and they will wander off, and you really hope that it's something that they're getting into your makeup or drawing on the wall with a crayon for that few minutes that you don't see them, but you'll find them in a dangerous situation such as this, and that seems to be the case for a lot of these parents that I had spoken to.
That is when she decided to start the conversation early on with parents about the dangers of pools, boats, lakes, streams, even bathtubs.
Drowning is a leading cause of accidental death in young children, happens to healthy children, and we're not talking about it at pediatricians' offices.
She started a local chapter of Parents Preventing Childhood Drowning in her Texas community.
We have 16 organizations who have teamed up with us. We're trying to create a national message to make all of our voices louder and clearer so we can reach pediatricians and reach others to get this message spread. So part of Parents Preventing Childhood Drowning is this pamphlet here that we are asking that pediatricians display at their office or use as an educational tool to help with ways to prevent drowning. There's pool safety, swim lesson safety, beach safety, and boating safety inside.
As for swimming lessons, Jenny says all lessons are helpful but can give a false sense of security. She suggests also looking into survival lessons where children at a very young age learn to roll over in the water and float so they can breathe until help comes or they paddle their way over to a ladder or wall.
Where's Elle? Where are you?
Jenny finds helping others helps her through her pain. It has also helped her family move on. In the spring of 2017, they had another son, Asher Jackson, who at the age of 20 months went through survival swim lessons. Meanwhile, the heartbreaking lesson learned by Jenny and Adam has prompted a lot of changes in the Bennett home.
For my situation, if I would have had an alarm on my door or my door would have been secure, I would have known if Jackson would have gone outside. If I would have had a fence around my pool or a net over my pool, he wouldn't have made it into the pool. And if he would have had survival swim lessons, he would have been able to save himself. And we would have found him and he'd still be here today. So there were many steps that we had missed that I want to educate others on to prevent this from happening to their child.
We want to thank Jenny for sharing her story. It takes a lot of strength and compassion to do that. If you'd like more information on the organization that Jenny mentioned and is part of, it's in 18 states, including Nevada. It's parentspreventingchildhooddrowning.com. Keep in mind, the city of Las Vegas also teaches swimming lessons to kids as young as 18 months, and our lifeguard classes include lessons in CPR. We are about to launch a documentary which we know will be very successful on the history of Las Vegas. Now, last year, we launched the first in this series, which took us back to the city's birth in 1905. This one picks up where that one left off in the 1920s. Las Vegas, the 1920s, covers a decade of great transition and growth in technology in our city. While our city was still very young in the 20s, we were already proving to be a city made up of rugged and determined residents who were not going to let a little heat and wilderness slow them down. Let's take a sneak peek at what to expect.
In Las Vegas, the 20s would be a decade of strife, of busted bootleggers and a contentious strike. But it was also a time of boundless dreams.
Got aviation coming in, woohoo! The Arrowhead Trail Highway coming in, woohoo! We get the Colorado River Compact. That's a good one. We're going to probably get a dam built.
We hope you'll join us for a special documentary, The City of Las Vegas, the 20s, starting May 15th, right here only on KCLV Channel 2. Funding for this documentary was provided by the Centennial Commission through the purchase of Las Vegas Centennial license plates.
Now, the documentary begins airing May 15th, which is our city's birthday, but will air many times after that. And before the documentary, we do a pre-show where we interview some historians, Bob Stoddall and Claytie White. And we also talk to Mayor Carolyn Goodman about the importance of embracing our history. Stay tuned to KCLV.TV for all of the future dates and times. We started a little tradition on our last City Beat. Those of us in the communications department are out and about a little bit, and we see all kinds of signs of people supporting each other. So here's another series of those photos. We hope it gives you inspiration and encouragement to be kind to each other. For those who have been sheltering in place during this pandemic, we've had to come up with some pretty creative ways to pass our time. We want to share with you a video produced by a couple in Tennessee who, in a fun way, documented how they are filling their days. Full disclosure, it was produced by my very talented nephew, Shane Wise, and his equally talented wife, Ashley Wise. Shane is also an accomplished musician, and he composed the music. Oh, and it also stars their dog, Pig.